After that debate, Donald Trump entering into the ring in a tag team match, which seemed like 3 against 1. Who do you think won this match?
We pray for love and unity, and that the church would find new zeal and commitment to the mission and purpose of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. This is the Political Pulpit, and I am your host, Josh Navarrete. So good to be back after a crazy debate that we've all witnessed. And would you think that Donald Trump won or Kamala Harris won? If you ask me, I can't really say that there was a clear winner. Because like Jesse Waters from Fox News, I heard him say last night, if you're a Trump supporter, Trump was Trump. If you're a Kamala Harris supporter, she did exceptionally well, even though she lied like crazy. It's kind of hard to walk away feeling really good about this. As a matter of fact, I'm walking away feeling like this just got real because she did kind of a good job at memorizing these lines. And maybe that's all they think they need is to use talking points, memorize them, and take it to the bank, and now go to the bunker. Don't show up for events, press releases, or press gags and talk to the press and the American people because maybe she feels like she said enough. Or as they asked for another debate, maybe they feel like she didn't do so good. I don't know. Let's get into it. But my initial thoughts were she didn't do as bad as I thought she was going to do. Trump was Trump. I feel like there were some opportunities there where he could have talked about her record just a little bit more. But at the closing statement, he knocked it out of the park, basically telling her, you've been there for 3.5 years and you haven't done anything you said you were going to do. And all the things that you say you're going to do are basically appealing to the Trump base because those are Trump policies. Border security, economic redos and do-overs and all the things that they say they're going to do. They're trying to ride the Trump train if you really look into it. Chad Prather texts, he didn't text, he tweets, since the moderators won't fact check her, Donald Trump says, I'm asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in the blue. It was classic Democratic talking points to go back to J6. J6 was an unfortunate event and a lot of bad things happened that day, but the things that they say happened, I can't really believe because they're treating these J6 prisoners as like the worst terrorists in the world. When Donald Trump was giving a speech, he basically said to peacefully and remain peaceful with no violence. Now they're accusing him, and they've been accusing him, which has already been debunked. But what's crazy is they're still going back to these talking points. We're way past these things. He's been acquitted. The courts are not coming after him in these ways anymore. And they're still going back to it like it's going to move the needle at all. And it just makes you seem like you're not aware of the issues that we have today. You're so busy going after Trump's character and the things that he says and the things that he does instead of Trump policies. Why? Because Trump policies are working. They work for America. They worked for America until they undid and unraveled them all. And it's actually terrible to see because, as you can see here in this next tweet from Donald Trump Jr., the cost of living. This is the whole ballgame. Kamala Harris has failed America. This is the whole ballgame. Kamala Harris has failed America with. Donald Trump will save America. If you look at this tweet, gas under Trump was down 6.8%. It's up 50.5% with Harris. Electricity, 4.5%. With Harris, 31%. If you go down to, let's go to eggs. They were down 4.8%, up 46.8% under Biden-Harris. And my favorite, coffee, was down 2.4%. That alone is enough for me to vote for Donald Trump. And for Biden and Harris, it's up 21%. So your morning cup of joe is a lot more expensive under this leadership, Biden and Harris. Why in the world would you want to keep going this same route? They're saying, we won't go back. You are right. We are not going back to this Biden-Harris policy and presidency for sure. Elon Musk says, while I don't think the debate hosts were fair, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris exceeded most people's expectations tonight. That said, when it comes to getting things done, not just saying nice sounding words, I strongly believe that Trump will do a far better job. That is very true. And after all, if Kamala can do great things, why hasn't she? Biden rarely shows up for work, so she's basically in charge. The question comes down to this: do you want current trends to continue for 4 more years, or do you want change? You have to get out from this administration's policies because it's killing America, as Donald Trump was saying. You know, I was thinking last night during the campaign, why does Donald Trump keep deferring to the border? And then I realized something, and he's absolutely right. It all started when Biden got into office because they had open borders. They announced open borders, almost like calling everybody to America, and people came in masses. They're still coming. Upwards to 20 plus million people are now illegally here in America. Well, then when you start to think about the weight that carries and the burden that it puts on our cities, it falls down to economics, the cost of goods, the cost of healthcare systems being overburdened, and other areas of our lives as Americans are being overburdened because of the flood of immigrants. So it only makes sense that it started there. That's why we have all these issues. We're not even talking about the drugs, fentanyl, and all the other things that are coming through the border through the cartels that are making tons of money doing those things and sending these people with drugs and hurting American families, American children. The drugs that are in our schools, the drugs that are flooding our streets. Homelessness is now at an increase because of the cost of living and because of drugs. So now when I really think about it, it makes sense. That was probably the greatest, if not one of the greatest assaults on America and the fabric of America, when President Trump says they've destroyed the fabric of America, because that's what they did. That's what open borders does. It causes not only the crime to go up, which, by the way, the moderator's trying to fact check President Donald Trump about the crime rates going down. It's like, again, here we are with the moderators debating Trump at the same time, and he held his ground and didn't say anything to them. I thought he was going to blast them because I think it's absolutely unacceptable for anyone to debate the president as a moderator. Anyways, going back to the issues at hand, they're trying to say that crime rates are going down, all while hotels and apartment complexes are being overrun by immigrants. Donald Trump also tweets, Kamala Harris actually said that January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. The day before 9/11. The day before 9/11, when 4,000 people died instantly, our men and women in law enforcement, in all the firefighters that went up those elevator shafts and the stairwells that got trapped and were killed once those towers went down. It was such, I mean, do you remember where you were? I was a kid then in high school, and it was the most horrific thing that we could see live on TV. And it's forever grained in my heart and my mind. And of course, we'll never forget those that have fallen and Americans that died that day. But how could you say the day before 9/11 that J6 was the greatest assault on or attack on our democracy? The other greatest assault on our democracy is these open borders. To me, that shows true leadership, where he is able to go down where the people are, where the American people are listening in on TV or watching it on TV, and he's able to walk the press halls there and talk to the people. where Kamala Harris has to go, in a controlled atmosphere where her handlers are and where her earrings, the Bluetooth earrings are, so they can tell her what to say and what to do. President Trump doesn't operate that way. He beats to the beat of his own drum. And I actually love that he does that and talks to the people, because that's what America needs. They need transparency. Speaking of earrings, there's a little bit of an accusation going on around that Kamala Harris wore a special earpiece during the debate. I mean, I still don't think it's even enough to defeat Donald Trump and to have the right talking points, because you're just spewing out things that are talking points of the Marxist left. You need a lot more than these special earrings, Bluetooth earrings, to defeat Donald Trump and to appeal to the American people, because though she looked a lot better than I expected, you can't deny that she was straight up lying to the American people. And she would look dead in the camera and say some crazy lies and was never fact checked. So the earrings, I mean, I don't even want to spend a lot of time on that because it made no difference. Brandon Tatum tweets, Trump was right again. Virginia former governor endorsed post-birth abortion. Watch.
No exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure, and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I will tell you first thing I would say is this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in, as is currently required? She's trying to lift that requirement.
Well, I think it's always good to get a second opinion, and for at least two providers to be involved in that decision, because these decisions shouldn't be taken lightly. And so, I would certainly support more than one provider.
All right, let's go back to the phones now for the governor. We're going to talk now with Mike, who's calling.
Well, there's the proof right there that Kamala Harris does support, and there are governors that support certain types of abortion. Now, they like to use very, very detailed and, small fractions of examples of where they feel like abortion is acceptable and the mother should choose to abort the baby, even at birth. It's a complicated issue, but Kamala Harris cannot act like she doesn't support these policies. And speaking of acting, she did a great job showing a face of denial, like she didn't support those things. And they always defer to women's health care. She's done a great job at acting like she doesn't support these policies, but we all know that she does. We all know what the Marxist left, liberal left want to do with abortion rights. And Donald Trump, whether you like these policies or not, this is the best option we have right now. So to sit this out and say you're not going to vote for Donald Trump because he's allowing exceptions or supporting exceptions, it's the wrong move. He's not a pastor. He's not someone that you're going to trust feeding you scripture and teaching you biblical truths. That's up to us. We need to vote someone that more aligns with our values, and then we hold them accountable. And we do the job of teaching the community, preaching the gospel, and showing what's biblically right. But Kamala and company, they like to deny so they can appeal to the middle of the road, the undecided voters. Don't be fooled. They have extreme beliefs and policies when it comes to this issue. Our good friend Carrie Lake says Kamala Harris got 0 votes. Joe Biden got 14 million votes, and they threw him out. And they want to call us a threat to democracy. Take a look.
We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think we're going to do very well.
I think we are going to do very well, and President Trump is right. They decided who they wanted to run for president. They didn't give the people a chance. They just said, Joe, you're out. Kamala, step in. We'll give you what to say and tell you what to do. We got a lot more to cover shortly after this, but let's show some love to blinkbed.com. Today's episode of The Political Pulpit is proudly sponsored by Blink Bed, the ultimate solution for a good night's sleep. As we navigate the complexities of politics and faith, it's crucial to rest well. Blink Bed offers a revolutionary mattress designed with your comfort in mind. Crafted with cutting-edge technology and the finest materials, it's a sleep experience like no other. Did you know that Blink Mattress is the only mattress certified by the American Arthritis Foundation? Say goodbye to restless nights and wake up rejuvenated, ready to face the day's challenges. Blink Bed is not just a mattress, it's an investment in your well-being. So visit www.blinkbed.com and use code PULPIT24 for an exclusive 20% discount. That's www.blinkbed.com, because a well-rested mind is a powerful mind. Blink Bed for a sleep experience as enlightened as your political insights. Thank you to blinkbed.com for being our first sponsor for the show. If you want to sleep on a cloud, you need to buy a Blink Bed mattress. Only mattress certified by the American Arthritis Foundation, made right here in Arizona. USA, American manufactured, American employed. It's the American company that you want to support. So go ahead and visit blinkbed.com for that exclusive 10% off. Just enter promo code PULPIT24. I promise you, you will be happy and well rested. Getting back to Donald Trump and the debate yesterday, there are so many things to highlight and discuss, but it just seems like we keep going back to the lies that Kamala spewed out and the things that President Trump was up against, not only Kamala Harris, but also the 2 moderators from ABC. Trump, I love this soundbite from Trump. He says, I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things they say about me. They spew lies, they look in the camera and tell Americans the policies that she wants to do while all in office she can't do. Take a look at this clip.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Let us not forget that someone literally shot at the former president of the United States of America. And it's probably because of the crazy nonsense spewed out by the left telling American people lies about Donald Trump. At some point, this all has to stop, and at some point, people have to take responsibility for the things they say about him because it's dangerous, and that's a true threat to democracy. Moving on to the fight that Donald Trump was up against. No, not the WWE matches he used to participate in, because those were tag teams that he actually had people on his side to help him. This one, he was up against 3 other people. He calls for ABC to lose their license over that debate. Watch.
100% of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala, 100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating to watch them fact check you and not her when she brought up IVF, when she brought up Project 2025 several times, and when she brought up Charlottesville. Here are some of the lies that she said about you. Listen.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used a lot when people are talking about a bad economy. What's your reaction to why didn't the moderators correct her?
Because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that. Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word. But referring to the economy, they have created an economy. Bloodbath was the word that I used. And it was fine in that context. And they were trying to make it sound like there was a riot or something, and it was a bloodbath. IVF, I was a leader on IVF, the IVF, which is fertilization. I was a total leader on that. When I first heard about it, like right from the beginning, I was one of the leaders on it, and the Republican Party has been a leader on it. She tried to say it was just the opposite. The whole thing with abortion, what he said, I mean, it was incredible. I think he corrected me 6 times, and each time I was right. I believe each time I was right, didn't correct her at all, and she was saying these things. She was using, like, Charlottesville. She was using Charlottesville, and everybody, you take a look at Laura Ingraham, she did it incredibly. She had it totally debunked. She said that, in fact, it makes it angry. She gets angry when people hear about Charlottesville when they use that, because what they did is they stopped and they didn't put the following sentence in. And when they put the last sentence in, when it was all put together, what I said was absolutely perfect. And ABC knew that. Everybody knew that, frankly. I think they lost a lot of credibility. But regardless, look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80-20, 90. We have one here, 92-7, and I sort of believe that's right. I thought, look, I've been told I'm a good debater. I think it was one of my better debates, maybe my best debate. I think. I don't know. That's why I'm disappointed in this guy, Harold Ford. I don't know if he's still there, but I don't know what he was watching, because he was just as dishonest as ABC, in my opinion.
I think Donald Trump did an excellent job. He was very assertive. He was very dominant. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. He was up against 3-1. So he did a great job. I do think that Kamala held her own with her lies, obviously, and memorizing the talking points, which in some cases may help her. But again, I'm believing the American people can see right through the lies. Here's another example where she makes contradictory statements about guns. And this is just only one example. Let's play this clip.
This business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
I support buybacks, and it's something I'm so passionate about and so looking forward to being president to address. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
You don't have to look far to see the lies that she tells. One minute she's saying she supports gun owner rights. The next she's saying she wants to take your guns away. I love what RFK says here, Robert Kennedy Jr., about the debate. Watch.
Fortunately, we had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. But none of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
It was a little bit chaotic, as you can tell, and there's a lot of just lies and not real fact-checking. And, you know, we have to highlight that Kamala's policies are basically no policies. It's a repeat of Joe Biden, and it's nothing close to what the Trump campaign and Donald Trump has already spelled out. So there's just no discussion there until she comes up with real policies that Americans truly want to see. And even then, they're probably not policies that are better for America. Because so far what we've seen is nothing short of a disaster on that front. I want to take a break from that debate. There's going to be a lot more coming up in the next few days. Let's honor the people that have fallen on this day, 9/11. This is the tragic morning of 9/11 when I was going to school, getting ready for school. And in Arizona, we're like 3 hours behind time, so it was time for us it was time to get ready for school. And I remember my father was just watching TV, watching the news, which we didn't normally do, but for some reason he had turned on the TV to watch some news before we left. And I remember asking what's going on, and he's like, I don't know. There's somebody had hit, or a plane had run into the Trade Center, the World Trade Center. And I remember being in shock, not truly understanding it. And then when we went to school, we had the TVs running, watching the news. And we watched with our eyes glued to the TV, our hearts just sunk because we realized there were people in these buildings and people were dying right before our eyes. And there weren't any answers. And all we could hear is that maybe there was a terrorist attack. And as soon as we realized that the second World Trade Center was hit, you almost knew America was under attack. And what does this mean for the world? What does this mean for America? And it was a beginning of war. It was a beginning of conflict. And the world has never been the same since. And there were so many people that died that day in New York City, but there were also so many people that stepped up to help. And America was unified. America came together and decided that all our differences didn't matter. We needed to come together as humanity, as humans, as one people, as Americans, to help one another. And that was probably the last time America was as united as it was. I don't want to go back to tragedy like that to be united again. At some point, America needs to wake up. We have a clip of President Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, President Biden at the same event there at 9/11, which actually surprised me when I saw it. But it was interesting because we don't have them shaking hands, but you can see them standing there as people are saying, "We love you, Donald Trump." Take a look. What a sight to see. I had never thought I'd see President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and former President Donald Trump in the same place. But at least they're honoring the fallen Americans there at Ground Zero for our 9/11 ceremony. We want to pay our respects, our love, and compassion to those that have lost their lives and the families that have lost loved ones during that time. They did shake hands there at that event. It was very, very awkward and something to see because yesterday they did the same thing at the debate. I don't know, it's just interesting to see them interact. I think it's kind of funny. President Donald Trump did visit a family of those that have fallen. Let's take a look at that clip.
My husband of 30 years was one of them. It is outrageous that our government would ever entertain the thought of granting the terrorists a plea deal. If not for the outcry of the 9/11 community, who knows what might have transpired. It has been 23 years, and the families deserve justice and accountability. The elected officials here today show their respect and reverence to the families on September 11th. Or, in our president's words, do 9/11. Quite a flippant remark. But please remember that the September 11th families live it every day, not just on the anniversary.
I can't really tell if that was, it looked like she was there with the president, both presidents there. If she said that, I'll have to look more into it. I think she said that in front of President Biden. That is pretty bold, and I'm glad she did, because Biden did say, oh, we're going to go do 9/11. And it just goes to show that he's just in a serious decline. And quite honestly, this is elderly abuse that they're doing to Joe Biden and company. Our hearts go out to that family that have lost their loved ones and those other Americans that lost their lives for 9/11. Before we close out this show, I want to turn to the book of Proverbs. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those that deal with truth or truthfully are his delight. It's obvious that there were a bunch of lies yesterday, and they were even trying to fact check President Donald Trump with more lies. We need to continue to pray and believe that truth prevails, and no matter what happens this election cycle, God is still on the throne, and it's a great time to be alive. But faith without works is dead, so don't just do nothing. Get out, vote, tell your congregations to vote, your friends, your family, your neighborhood. Get the word out. Everybody needs to either register and vote. The world is counting on you, and America is counting on you. Thank you, everybody. That concludes our show. God bless. We'll see you next time.